We are recording.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a special meeting set March 5th, 2025. This is the full Board of Trustees meeting. I want to call the meeting to order, and as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. Madam Secretary, can you take a roll call, please?
Barahona, not present. Buenaventura.
Present.
Cisneros.
Here.
Good.
Here.
Grande, not present. Gore.
Here.
User.
Here.
Sowell, not present. Stevens.
Here.
Tony.
Present.
Trejo.
Present.
Stallings.
Present.
You have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a call for public comment. And before we begin public comment, I'd like to remind everyone that under the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, public comments must pertain to items that are on the agenda or be related to matters that are within the jurisdiction of this agency. Specifically, the board is the state bar's governing body and is responsible for exercising oversight of the state bar. The board sitting as the Regulation and Discipline Committee oversees the work of the attorney discipline system. Additionally, we have a full agenda today. As chair of the board, I reserve the right to limit each speaker's time to 2 minutes, or to close a public comment period after 2 hours, which includes a 10-minute break, or after the first 100 speakers, whichever occurs first. Certainly, we've received many advanced signups today for public comment. Many of the board members have received news stories where we've heard of bar takers' issues with the February exam. We've received significant public comment at our last meeting, and in the interest of making sure that we hear from everybody today, I'm going to institute the following. And before I give people the option, just want to I know everybody's acutely aware of the important discussions that the Board of Trustees is to have today, both in closed session as well as open session. And while we absolutely want to hear from as many public commenters as possible, I recognize that we need to run this meeting efficiently in order to make decisions on these issues that everybody is commenting on. We are scheduled to go to 5 o'clock today. I understand board members have a hard stop at 5, so that's why I'm offering these comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give all public commenters the option, and if you wish to volunteer to give a comment that will last 1 minute, then I'll let those individuals go first. I'll ask that they raise their hand at this time. And then once we finish, all of those who volunteer to speak for 1 minute, recognizing that after your minute is up, your microphone would be muted, that we would then go on to the public commenters who wish to give their full 2 minutes. So if you wish to give a public comment and volunteer to do that for 1 minute, please raise your hand.
Chair, do we typically take the in-person folks first, or? Secretary
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Yeah. The individual who's at my location said they wish to give a 2-minute public comment, which I'm okay taking them out of order, and I can have them go first. In San Francisco, how many public commenters do you have there?
1.
Okay. All right. Let's have the San Francisco public commenter go first, and then I'll have my public commenter go second, and then we'll go to the 1 minute volunteers.
Great. Is there a mic? No, take a seat. Is there a microphone, Richard?
This microphone is very good.
Oh, okay.
We tested.
All right. I think we're ready here. Devin or Louisa, who's over doing the timer.
We're ready.
You can go ahead.
All right.
Some members were here and some on the screen.
Good afternoon, Chair and all members. My name is Kai Ong from Supplemental. Please consider to allow California citizens to complain Attorney General's office. Sacramento District Attorney Office provide me fake defendant information of the driver that killed my father I have filed complaint 5 times since February 2024, but Attorney General's office did not respond. I don't know which attorney in Attorney General's office is covering up my complaint. Currently, there's no way to complain Attorney General's office. Civil Rights Department does not handle this kind of complaint. If State Bar of California add a new complaint process to investigate Attorney General's office, it helps citizens like me to find out which licensed attorney in the office should take responsible for the misconduct. Last meeting, I emailed this handwritten note from Sacramento DA office to all board members. I also filed complaint to grand jury. I have contacted Sacramento Superior Court presiding judge about my complaint submitted to grand jury. I also contact Judicial Council and Commission of Judicial Performance. However, as of today, I still don't know who killed my father when come on. I have filed complaint to State Board of California about Attorney General, Sacramento District Attorney, and Sacramento Superior Court presiding judge. Please look into my complaint because many licensed attorney in Sacramento City government, in Sacramento County government, and in California State government are involved to covering up the truth of my father's death. This is a letter from State Bar of California for my complaint. I have 3 cases.
Sir, thank you for your comment. Your 2 minutes is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming in. All right, next I'll turn to the public commenter in my room and just ask that she identify herself.
Hello, my name is Raquel Fuentes, and I am a past bar taker for the February 2025 bar.
Alright.
Okay, I'm here to talk about and represent the student body that took the February bar, and talk about how we went into this bar not knowing what program or how the program would respond to the people that would be taking the bar. It feels like we went into taking the bar not knowing if we didn't really have a fighting chance with the way that the program was implemented and done during the bar. I understand that having to implement a specific program is, to begin with, is hard, but I would like to just state that it'd be nice to know what implementations or what outcomes would come after taking a bar for those who did take the bar that didn't even have a fighting chance to begin with, being that the program was really hard to test on. And I come to you humbly and honestly and with a lot of respect towards everyone, not necessarily having a bitter heart, but something within myself to go ahead and speak for the students that did take the bar, having the outcome of the program itself and not having something that would represent the bar exam completely. With that, I thank everyone for your time and patience, and that is it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your public comments. Anybody else with in-person public commenters?
Chair Stallings,
Yes.
there's someone here as well.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Ross Pichatello. I was a taker for this last February bar. I also took the exam in July of this last year. I missed the mark by 1%, but I went in, full swung, and I was able to dedicate full time to studying. At great financial expense, but I was able to, go in full swing and study full time for this exam. I'm an accommodated taker myself. And so while I was, given the opportunity to be in a center that was much closer to home than Ontario, even in the test center, I did have, in the setting where I was, actually, every accommodated taker had different accommodations in the room I was in. Everyone was at different schedules. And there was also test takers that were taking different exams in the same room. I have accommodations for a semi-private room. I mean, and I don't blame the proctors that were at that center because, I mean, otherwise from their otherwise glowing reviews, the proctor there seemed very cooperative, very approachable. The first day, he seemed kind of shocked at all the. It seemed like it was a last minute thing for him as well, in that he didn't know the accommodations of everyone that was there. For example, one of my people in the same room had diabetes and he needed food, and the proctor didn't know that at all. That had to be communicated to him afterward. And so it's other than the technological glitches that everyone else faced, being on top of that didn't help at all. So I just wanted to make sure that that was known and yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other in-person commenters? All right, seeing none, again, ask anybody wishes to volunteer to give a 1-minute public comment, please raise your hands at this point, and then Madam Secretary, please identify them and we'll start to take those comments.
Chair Stallings, if I may, what I am going to do, because there are several people with their hands raised at the moment, so I'm going to lower everyone's hands. Okay, so if you would like to be considered for the 1-minute public comment period, please go ahead and raise your hand now. Okay, now I do see several people. So give me a moment. Okay, first we have Andrea. Andrea, your microphone has been enabled.
Yes, my name is Andrea Lynch, and first I request 2 minutes. I went to your Sacramento on-site location at 1414 K Street and no suite was provided. So I went there, took time off of work, and you guys don't have the correct address for the public to actually access the meeting on site. Louisa, you just responded to my email approximately 2 minutes ago indicating that somebody would provide me with the suite information, but I'm requesting 2 full minutes because I was on site. I am a February 2025 bar exam test taker. I am also a wife, mother of 2 young children, a full-time working professional who began preparing for the exam in October of last year. I missed countless opportunities with family events, important health matters, including a father with Alzheimer's disease, and numerous other life experiences because I was dedicated to passing this exam. I personally had the same issues that a plethora of students had with lack of copy and paste, and most examinees had. I also did not even get to attend session 4 because my exam was erroneously submitted before I could complete the examination. This exam has been plagued with issues since its inception. On December 30th of 2024, I contacted the bar exam about a dry erase board with a unique dimension that, to no surprise, is not sold at any retailer. They didn't provide any information on where we could purchase it, and a few moments later corrected that information on their website. On January 21st, I attended the meeting about FAQs, and I inquired with those that chose the proctoring exam whether they had used the exam themselves, which they had not. So they're forcing 5,000 students to use a platform that doesn't have spell check, word count, something that you wouldn't even have if you worked in a law office as a new attorney, and is forcing 5,000 people to use an exam that they didn't even, or software they didn't even use themselves. Nothing at this point that the state bar, the committee, California Supreme Court, nor the judiciary can do can remove the of the exam.
I apologize, but your time has expired.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have Nadine. Nadine, your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hello, my name is, I'm actually Attorney Nadine Mazard. I'm admitted in other jurisdictions. I'm giving you a call because I was a 2025 February attorney applicant. And I also am weighing in to say that given all these technical issues, and I also had experienced technical issues, timer issues, was not told of how many essays. I was one of the attorney applicants that when the exam finished, so all the remote attorney applicants, we received a message that basically said we failed. out of all the comments that could be there, we had no concern. We still have no written confirmation whether or not our essays were ever received. I have a confirmation that just only shows that 0 out of 0 essays were received. Excuse me, 0 out of 6 essays were received, 0% were there, and it's failed. And even if I continue to go there and I do a PDF of the thing, it still shows that I failed. I also
I apologize, but your time is up. Next, we have Ed Arufo. Your microphone has been enabled.
Good afternoon. My name is Ed Arufo, and I have a bar prep company where I anticipate having about 1,000 students this year. It's unbelievable how many emails I've gotten over the last week from students that have been insufferable with the pain that they've gone through. I had a student that traveled from Africa and spent his village's money to get here, take an exam, and then be told the retake will be on the 3rd because none of his information was entered. I can't tell you how many students I have from prestigious universities that come through the program with stellar colors. They do fantastic work, and then they call me later and tell me that they failed the exam. The bar needs to be lowered. There are good people that will do good work to serve an unserved community. We have a tremendous amount of unmet legal need in California, and I think the entire state of California knows that. Please help these people get to work, have them feed their families, and have them go pay off the loans and come up with the additional money that they need to pay for their fees to CalBar every year.
I apologize, your time is up. Next, we have Andrew Noseworthy. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, hello. I'm calling for the immediate resignation of Leah Wilson, who has failed to uphold the stated mission of the California State Bar. Given the current state of the state bar and the debacle surrounding this exam, it should be clear that you are unfit to hold the position of executive director. And furthermore, those within the organization who contributed to this failure through your complacency should also be held accountable. This exam was a disaster. Public trust in your organization has been severely eroded. Applicants clearly and repeatedly put you on notice of all of these issues with ample time to make corrective action, and you chose to disregard us. This is not an unfortunate mistake. It is the inevitable result of a series of incompetent decisions that ignored the needs and the concerns of applicants. There needs to be a full legislative audit of this organization. And moving forward, I and many others are going to scrutinize every dollar that we are asked to pay to the state bar. We demand answers regarding how the multiple choice questions were vetted and approved. We demand answers on how the exam software was evaluated and approved. Whoever was responsible for the substance and administration of
I
this.
do apologize, your time is up.
Seriously.
Next, we have someone by the name of X. Your microphone has been enabled. Your microphone has been enabled. You just need to unmute yourself.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to reiterate that we had wide sweeping connection issues, regardless of whether we were taking on the Meazure platform in person or remotely. We were automatically disconnected and reconnected every few seconds, which is very distracting. You lose your place, you can't read, you can't write. Our clocks continued to run. There were repeated error messages popping up and remaining and blocking our ability to see our full exam screen. There was illegible text when you were being bounced back into the connection. The format and the resolution became blurry. Proctors interrupted us by speaking and telling us to readjust our position when we were trying to squint and get closer to the screen to be able to read. Inability to type text, delayed type text, multiple proctors forgetting to relinquish control over computers, loss of connection with proctors, lack of ability to copy and paste. Our scores need to be adjusted upward to remedy this, or the total passing score needs to be reduced. Perhaps consider discarding our lowest scoring few written answers.
Apologize, your time is up. Next, we have Jack DeFazio. Your microphone has been enabled.
Good afternoon, members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Zach DeFazio Farrell, and I'm a February 2025 bar applicant. I urge the State Bar to take immediate and meaningful action to remedy the catastrophic failures of the February 2025 exam. The rollout of the new exam format and software was deeply flawed, preventing many applicants from beginning or completing the test through no fault of their own. The current response, offering limited retake opportunities, is inadequate and inequitable. Many impacted applicants cannot take additional time off work or rearrange their lives for another exam after already enduring a failed process. In addition, psychometrically adjusting the scores is inadequate. There's too much variability regarding the impact on applicants from faulty software to objectively grade the exam. The only fair solution is to grant provisional licensure to all affected applicants without requiring a retake of the exam at a later date. Why should the applicants who played by the State Bar's rules be penalized by sacrificing income to study for the exam again? Such a requirement would be a dereliction of accountability on the part of the State Bar. Thank you.
Next, we have Dean Martin Prignick. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, I learned yesterday that according to the State Bar staff, only 85 of the roughly 4,500 takers had catastrophic enough problems that were going to be offered a retake. That's less than 2%. Anecdotally, based on the reports I've received from our school's bar takers and speaking to the deans of other law schools, somewhere between 60 and upwards of 90% of students had significant tech problems, which, if not deemed catastrophic according to the State Bar's definition, certainly significantly impacted their ability to perform. Please, whatever remedy you do not take the psychometrician's assertions at face value. There is no reliable baseline from which to extrapolate anyone's scores because the problems were so serious, so pervasive, and so varied. The only way to do right by these takers is to provide a pathway for them to get licensed without making them take another bar exam, whether that's provisional licensure or otherwise. Please urge that type of remedy. Thank you.
Next, we have Jai D. Your microphone has been enabled.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I thought you are the have a meeting in person. I'm come all the way in the Culver City. Is there any room in Culver City? In the 10,000 Washington at Boulevard? So I'm here anyway. So I'm the tax taker on February 2025. So among many takers, I was in the on-channel in person. The main problem is not only me, and during the PT test, the PT is totally unable to finish it. So those PT it's not good. It's like never writing in there. We're not able to side by side and not able to copy and paste. And right away, the night, State of California sent everybody email. So far, however, we are waiting for this, how the results, but we haven't heard anything about how.
Next, we have Adam Lavelle. Your microphone has been enabled.
Thank you for giving me the time to speak. Given the turbulence and resource constraints of this year's bar exam, I think it's a good time to enact a bar reciprocity program that would allow practicing attorneys that are already admitted in other states to gain admission to the California bar without retaking the bar exam. A reciprocity program would be consistent with practice in other states, and the change could maintain the quality of legal representation in California, but expand access to justice in the state. It would also remove several hundred potential text takers from each exam cycle, reducing the burden on the exam process, whatever it becomes. I think bar reciprocity could reasonably be conditioned on several factors to ensure the quality of legal services in California. Specifically, the conditions could include the passage of another state's bar exam or a minimum UBE score. Given the widespread use of the UBE at this point, it could be conditioned on length of service requirements, such as 5 years of prior legal service, and perhaps a supervisory period for 1 to 2 years of supervision by a California bar attorney. Thank you.
Next, we have Jacqueline Clements. Your microphone has been enabled.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. I have taken your survey based on the issues that we all faced, and I echo everything that everybody has already said, but I think based on the survey that was sent to us, it doesn't seem to be being explored the problems that happen prior to the exam as well. The inconsistent information when we would call to get information from Measure Learning or from the bar, we were treated poorly, like the information was just out there. We were given inconsistencies, making this an even more stressful bar exam than it was already going to be. The foreseeability of these problems, I knew it was going to happen, and I'm not a fortune teller. They could have been mitigated with paper copies and different things that the bar could have done as a first-time contingency that were not done. So I echo everything else, and I hope you come to an equitable solution.
Next, we have Joffrey Rokosasa. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, I am a remote test taker. I'm from the Philippines. I took it here in Cebu City, Philippines. And I think the remote exam works for us who are outside of the United States. And also I've talked to many of outside of United States takers, and this is really a good opportunity for us to be able to join in for the exam. And I could no longer afford to fly to the United States for the July bar if ever I'm going to retake it. There are so many suggestions about it's good, but because of the crashes, that's just the only thing that I have comments on. The proctors are okay. How they assess the environments and all of that. The pre-examination screenings are good. They recommended to lower the passing score to 1340. Grade only the 4 essays. For those who submitted 5 essays, we respectfully request that only the top 4 essay scores will be counted, just the PD scoring. And so
next we have Janine. Your microphone has been enabled.
Good afternoon. My name is Janine Craybill, and I'm a February 2025 bar examinee. And I want to thank the bar for allowing us the time to speak. I know it's a challenging time for the examinees and then also for all of you. I do want to say that I'm an educator, and I've been an educator for over 20 years. And I would have never have given my students an exam that was not fully baked and didn't have proper protocols. There were people at the Ontario Convention Center after they passed security that were able to continue to look at their notes. Proctors even arguing with one another. The exam conditions were incredibly loud. I agree with my colleagues here that also took the exam that the bar score needs to be adjusted to account for that. I'm also a researcher, and I'm concerned about the psychometrics. I publish in peer-reviewed journals, and I've been reading that, and it just sounds like verbal gymnastics. And so I think we need more clarification on that process. And I thank you for hearing us all today.
Next, we have Tatevik Asebekian. Your microphone has been enabled.
Good afternoon. I'm not going to focus on the issues. I believe we all at this point know that all the issues that were going on. So I just want to focus on the solutions. I have been speaking with thousands of applicants this year. I'm an attorney from Spain. I spent $100,000 in order to be able to become an attorney in California. And for me, it's really frustrating. It's not a lot of money for someone from the US, but it means 6-7 years of work for someone from Spain. I came here with 3 kids, and I took 3 months off of work. I spent 3 months off of my kids, of neglecting them, in order to be able to take the bar, and not being able to do so just for the negligence of the bar providing the exam. My solution is to providing unconditional license, provisional licenses, not conditional to taking the bar, but to working under the supervision of an attorney, because this is the only remedy where all the applicants agree. Thank you.
Next, we have A. Lovell. Your microphone has been enabled.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Ami Lovell from San Diego, California, and I would request that the State Bar replace the attorney examination in favor of bar reciprocity. Specifically, bar reciprocity could be conditioned upon several factors to ensure the quality of legal services that are available in California. As mentioned earlier, the length of service requirement to satisfy enough training, a supervisory period. Also, an existing job offer in the state's public sector. Here's another big opportunity as we're looking to fix the problems that ran rampant during the February examination period. We know that there are many folks leaving the public sector at the federal level, and that would open up an opportunity for a number of attorneys to come work at the state local level here in California. These are members of their respective state bars. They have met that challenge, and here's a way to alleviate the burden on putting attorneys through the testing protocol. Thank you for hearing me out.
Next, we have Brianna Martin. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, I do want to emphasize that I greatly respect this institution. That being said, I was an applicant for the February bar, and I just have two comments. First, we don't go into this exam certain that we're going to pass, but we do go into the exam trusting that the state bar will provide us with a fair shot to pass. The bar placed financial desires above the importance of upholding the integrity of a high-stakes exam. It recklessly disregarded the time, money, and preparation applicants pour into this exam and allowed applicants to endure 2 days plagued with foreseeable technical and procedural issues. And one comment on remedial measures: if score adjustment is the remedy that the bar opts for, I urge that graders take into account the mental exhaustion that is induced by technical and procedural issues. Even those who experienced minimal technical issues were disrupted by loud testing conditions and quite literally people breaking down around them because of all the anxiety. Thank you.
Next, we have Samantha Prince. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi there. I assume you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I took the experimental bar, which was an absolute disaster, and it was a look into what was going to come. And after that, I got a Chapter 6 notice because my proctor was a complete disaster, spoke no English, which was shocking that you would hire proctors that don't speak English. I had a health issue during it. And after that, I had sent seven doctor's notes and manufacturer drug notes to the bar, to accommodations and everybody. And you guys were not only rude, but you guys were abusive to me. I asked to withdraw, and you guys did nothing but abuse me. And I tried to withdraw, and it was a nightmare. You guys also need to consider people that withdrew, because
I apologize, your time is up. Next, we have Audit LA. Your microphone has been enabled. Oh, I'm sorry. Believe it's Michael Partovi. I do apologize.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so here's the thing. So I get accommodations. My exam is divided into 4 days. As you guys know, after the very first day of the essays, the very first day of the exam, you guys gave us a general email saying that people who had technical difficulties will be giving a makeup session. On the second day was when I had my technical difficulties, and the proctor gave me the opportunity to withdraw. I reasonably relied on that withdrawal with the hope that I'll have a makeup session. So the fact that you guys gave us the criteria for the makeup sessions a week after, where so many students relied that they'd be giving a makeup session, and only 85 people were giving makeup sessions so far, like I don't understand that. That's, if anything, I think that's a form of manipulation. Like I don't get it. Like, why would you give the criteria after? Like, so many people have reasonably relied. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Next, we have Audit LA. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yes, thank you. I would like to know who exactly I need to talk to or write to, because I feel like with all the preparation, the city attorney's office in Los Angeles is not being properly prepared. I'm only a paralegal, and I am constantly seeing where the attorneys are violating Brown Act. They are doing, and I have several cure and correct submitted already, which have been ignored, I guess, because I'm not an attorney, and it needs to stop. It seems like they are not being prepared to know what is actually Brown Act and what when public, and they keep interrupting public speech and all these things. And the same city attorneys is also ignoring and they're not doing things fairly. Like they are people who have contact with them, they get special treatment, like the cult of Scientology. They are getting special treatment, and people who like the Scientology does not like is getting unfavorable treatment.
We apologize, but your time is up. Next, we have Phil Movagar. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yes, hi. I would like to begin by quoting Erwin Chemerinsky, Dean of UC Berkeley Law, regarding the California State Bar's handling of the 2025 February bar exam. It is a stunning incompetence from an entity that exists to measure competence. I agree with Dean Chemerinsky that there has been stunning incompetence, but given the repeated failures of this board and previous ones, I no longer believe this body is capable of effectively measuring competence. It is frankly comical, though tragically so, that out of the more than 4,000 people who took the exam, and considering your own acknowledged failures, you are offering a retake opportunity to only around 80 individuals. In what world is this fair? Your approach to remediation only exasperates the problem. Test takers who were robbed of 30 minutes or more due to technical errors or proctoring issues are forced to decide in real time whether or not to submit at all due to your failures to provide a stable testing environment or submit a clearly incomplete answer in order to avoid further jeopardizing their scores, because there's no trust in you that you will do the right thing.
Your time is up.
Right. Before we go on to the next commenter, in case anybody joined after I made the general announcement at the beginning, we're absolutely taking public comment today. We're sticking to the guidelines of the board policy manual in the interest of trying to get through as many public commenters as possible, giving individuals the option to volunteer to make 1 minute of public comment. And we will take those individuals first, and then once we're through the 1 minute commenters, then we'll get to the 2 minute public commenters. So I just want to remind everybody in case anybody joined late. All right, Louisa.
Yes. Next, we have James Camper. Your microphone has been enabled. Your microphone has been enabled. You just need to unmute yourself.
Maybe let's come back to Mr. Camper.
Okay. 1 moment. Next, we have Kayla Pace. Your microphone has been enabled.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for giving me this time. So obviously I echo everything that the other students have been saying. There was mixed messaging between bar and Measure Learn. I took the exam in July and in February. In July, we were expected to be there at 8 a.m. Measure Learn kept telling us 9 a.m. So there was a lot of anxiety starting with that. The option to withdraw was given almost, I would say, a little too late, but also not enough time given. I unfortunately miscarried between essays 4 and 5 and went back to finish essay 5 as well as the PT. And I wish I would have had the opportunity to withdraw on the second day. I was in Roseville. The air conditioning was very loud and it was very cold. The essays, the internet was going in and out. And with the Kaplan questions, they weren't anything like I've ever seen before as far as my bar study was concerned with Quimby or Barbary. Thank you.
I will go back to James Camper. Your microphone has been enabled. I think that there might be some technical difficulties, so we'll come back. Next, we have Mary Bassick. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi there, I'm the Assistant Dean of Academic Skills at UC Irvine, and I've been working in bar prep, primarily in California, for over 20 years. There's a lot that can be said, but I want to advocate for some scoring fairness for the February 2025 bar takers. Particularly, I'm concerned about these multiple choice questions. The takers were assured that the format and content would not change, but that is not true. I reviewed the Kaplan content map, and they have added a bunch of rules that are now eligible for testing that did not used to be eligible. I have a written comment where this is delineated. Also a review of the 25 faculty guide questions after they were reviewed on February 6th. So the revised version, they still, 6 of those 25 questions have problem. 4 are testing obscure pieces of law that have never been tested before. 1 has 2 correct answers, and 1 has 0 correct answers because the law is wrong. That's 24%, and that's after they had been revised. I suggest that you use, oh shoot.
I do apologize, but your time is up. Next, we have Brenda Gonzalez. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much. Good afternoon. I'm here to say that the level of incompetence and negligence in the administration of this exam is completely unacceptable. The State Bar of California has an obligation to ensure a fair, functional, and reliable testing process, one that does not force examinees to suffer due to system failures and administrative shortcomings. I followed all instructions and protocols, yet I was still denied the opportunity to complete my exam. I was also not a part of the 85 students who were chosen to retake the exam or to finish the exam. We demand to know what immediate remedial measures you will take to address this gross failure, including number 1, how you determine eligibility to retake or finish the exam, a clear outline of the steps of State Bar will take to prevent future occurrences of this nature. This was not just a technical glitch. This was a violation of due process and a high stakes career defining exam.
Next, we have Sherry Steele. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, I'm going to go really fast. I'm going to start with the solutions that I would hope the board consider. I know you have to navigate this and you still have to weigh the public interest side, not just us as examinees. But I really urge provisional licensure or diploma privilege. I don't think that this exam, especially the MBEs, can adequately measure competency. I really would hope that the board goes back to using the prior NCBE, MBE questions. I think that a reduced score, recalibrating, I don't think that that is going to adequately be, it won't be adequate and it won't be fair, and it will be very inconsistent because we've got people who had vastly different things impacting them depending on what test site they were at, the individual proctors that we were dealing with. There's just too many variables for that to be fair. One of the comments that I had read.
I apologize, but your time is up.
Louisa, let me just also add to the reminder from last reminder, where the policy is to go for 2 hours or for 100 commenters, whichever comes first. So just want to remind everybody. All right, next commenter.
Next, we have Farah. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Farah Ghaffari Rafi, and I'm a 4th-time bar exam taker speaking on behalf of the many examinees who endured the disastrous February 2025 exam administration. I have dedicated years of my life to this exam, countless hours of studying, thousands of dollars spent on prep materials, registration fees, and travel fees. And frankly, I am so disappointed that I have spent so much on this exam, all for it to be a complete disaster. While I know there are a lot of first-time takers, I urge you to consider a fair remedy for repeat takers, particularly those within 100 points of passing on a prior attempt. Options include super scoring exams like the SAT, allowing examinees to carry over high-scoring sections from previous attempts, or automatic passing for those who previously had a second read on a previous time, recognizing their demonstrated competency. This exam should test our ability to practice law, not our ability to fight through glitches and flawed questions. We deserve a just resolution. Thanks.
Next, we have Manya Faridani. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, hello.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Mania Faridani. I'm a February 2025 test taker. I studied 10 to 12 hours a day for the past 3 months while I was homeless due to the recent Palisade fires. The system crashed after 10 minutes of my fourth essay, and I couldn't submit my fourth essay. However, I informed that I cannot retake it. I assume I can retake it because I couldn't submit my essay, but I informed I cannot retake it just because I had a couple of headings down, and that's about it. But what is the definition of submission? Just because the system automatically submitted my exam without my control after 10 minutes, that is not considered as a submission. So this is unfair. Some people can retake this exam, and some people submitted 4 essay and they're going to be graded based on those 4 essay. I don't have any options, and I feel like this is not equal. Thank you.
Next, we have Medina Jenks. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. I appreciate it. I am a February 2025 bar exam taker. I previously took the exam in July of 2025, but I was unfortunately ill, so I only failed by a few points. I would have been admitted in any other jurisdiction other than this one, but I take full responsibility there. It was very disappointing, all the issues that occurred with this particular bar exam. For instance, among other things, I lost between 30 to 40 minutes on the performance test, and I also was unable to use the copy and paste. And any remedy that would force us to retake the exam is something that just does not work for all of us, because even if the retake were free, we still have to pay thousands of dollars in hotel fees and travel fees. For instance, I had to pay over $2,000 in hotel fees and travel expenses. So that is just something we cannot afford with rent and everything. So
Apologize, your time is up. Next, we have Leslie Flynn. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Leslie Estrada Flynn. I'm an accommodated test taker for the July and February exam. Despite you already know what happened with all the issues from the bar, what I am asking for is that people who took the experimental bar, that they should not be considered given the 40 points, or in the alternative that you provide 40 points extra on top of the score adjustment that the bar should be doing to help the test takers that suffered all these grievances. I would also just reiterating lowering the bar passing score, providing provisional licensing without having to retake the bar exam, and to also provide attorney reciprocity for out-of-state attorneys. This is the very least that you could do, despite all of the issues that happened. Thank you.
Next, we have Henry. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, so I took the February 2025 exam, and because the system crashed after I submitted my 5th essay, I was not able to even access the performance test. And I'm speaking up today because the proposed imputation of our performance test score based on how well we did on the essays would not be a fair assessment. These two components evaluate very different skill sets, and the performance test is a lot of examiner's strong suit because it focuses on analysis rather than memorization of the law. And a lot of us have scored significantly higher on the performance test in practice exams. So myself, along with many other students, we have been studying for many months and would like to be given the opportunity to write the performance test and have that reflected in our final score. Alternatively, if we're not allowed to take the performance test, we would really appreciate a clear and detailed explanation of how the psychometric computation is going to be used. And in that case, I truly believe that a generous adjustment of our performance test scores would be necessary. Thanks.
Next, we have Chris Haynes. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, thank you. If you're going to proceed with grading this exam, I would encourage you to please consider the individual test takers and not just the group of us as a data set. Various remedies that are being considered affect some testers differently than others. For instance, predicting the score of the performance test based on other essays helps those that are weaker on the performance test and would hurt those relying on it for points, while retaking it has the opposite effect. Increasing the score or lowering the requirement does not take into account particularized issues. Retakes are not a logistical option for some folks, and others just want a fair shot at the test. So please offer a range of remedies for each issue and allow us to take advantage of the option that most benefits us individually. Thank you.
Next, we have Henri Marini. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here today to talk to you about the malicious prosecution pattern that City Attorney Heidi Soto has. I am one of those victims. I've written to this board and I know that an investigation has been launched, but I want to let the rest of the audience know. You have two other individuals that are victims. You have top prosecutor Michelle McGinnis, who was a whistleblower and was let go because she spoke out about Heidi's malicious prosecution. You even have Richie Sergienko, another lawyer who wasn't even at the UCLA protests that Heidi was charging him with. How can you possibly let Heidi to continue her violent and disgusting pattern of malicious prosecution against critics that dare criticize her and her political affiliates, such as Scientology? 3 is statistically significant. You have 3 cases before you that clearly show 3 separate victims, none of which are tied whatsoever, that are lying in the wake of Heidi's vicious, malicious prosecution. Just bar her already. Thank you.
Next, we have Wendy Boyden. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for allowing us to comment today. I was an in-person exam taker of the California attorney's exam, and as a person who passed the bar exams in 2 other jurisdictions, practiced law, and I've been in good standing in those jurisdictions for over 24 years. First, I want to point out that not having the continuous 3-hour periods that we had in prior exams significantly disadvantaged us, because we no longer have the flexibility that we had before to use any unused time to carry that over to another response that involved more time. Second, there were numerous time delays and between typing and the words appearing on the screen and outages, which is extremely distracting to our ability to focus. A third, in the upper right-hand corner of my screen, I kept getting a pop-up message stating that my answer to the question had not been saved and instructing me to click on the provided button in order to go to the question. These were absolutely unnecessary, extremely distracting, and they covered my timer so that I couldn't see how much time I had left. Anyway, I don't have time to talk about the performance test, but needless to say, it was a disaster. It is, and my personal preference.
Apologize, but your time is up. Next, we have David's iPhone. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for taking the time to hear us out. I'm one of the lucky 85 who will be allowed to take the test in theory on the 18th and 19th of March. And I have to say that while I'm relieved that this is being offered, it's an unfair option. Either everybody should have the option to take the test twice, because there will be a group of people who will be seeing the same set of questions twice. This amounts to a leak of the questions. Or there will be individuals who, pardon me, I lost my train of thought there, but the bottom line is it's an unfair administration. Either, I hate to say this, it's not going to be a popular opinion, but either get rid of all the tests and say that these scores don't count, or give everybody the credit and allow them to pass provisionally. That's the only option that's fair, because you have leaked questions. You're allowing a certain set of individuals to take the test twice. Thank you.
Next, we have Andrew Kim. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so so in my opinion, I think shared with everyone else, one of the biggest concerns is on the second day when our laptops went in and out. Our laptops got disconnected maybe over 50 times across a 30+ minute period. And I was taking it in the SF Convention Center with 1,500 other people. So I looked around raising my hand, and all of us had our hands raised, and hundreds of hands would go down and hundreds of hands would go up. as we would try to focus. But the problem was, while taking that, we would have a lot of people crying, a lot of people screaming and yelling, and the proctors wouldn't be able to quiet that down. So any score imputation or psychometric analysis doesn't take those factors into account, because no other bar administration exam ever had students take the test under those conditions. So a score remedy needs to be the most drastic in the history of the California State Bar. Thank you.
Next, we have Andrew Figueroa. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, yes, you can all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, took the February 2025 bar as well as the July 2024 bar, and the experiences of both were just vastly different. I echo a lot of the same concerns that my fellow peers have with the February 2025 bar. And I will say outright, the criteria you have for the retake, it feels a bit drastic because it's 4 essays. Whereas, so if somebody has 5, they miss out on the double essay points from the PT, which feels just rightly unfair. And then I agree with Andrew Kim, who spoke before me, regarding just like this needs to be a drastic solution. I was fortunate to be remote, and when the exam went down on the second day, my time kept going down, and my proctor luckily caught it and paused my exam. My understanding is that has not been applied widespread everywhere else. So I only lost 2 to 5 minutes, and other people lost maybe half an hour, if not more. And that is just justly unfair across all boards. Thank you.
Next, we have Diane Su. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, I'm Yeonjusa, a remote test taker on February 2025. I, first of all, sincerely appreciate the Board of Trustees for providing this opportunity today to ensure that the voices that have not been heard can finally be heard. On day 2, right before the exam essay 2, Proctor on my chat disclosed the first paragraph of the actual contents of the essay question 4. I thought it was mistake, but I was still I'm emotionally quite shocked. And then afterwards, I went through a similar technical issues, but I've been taken out. I mean, I was not considered as one of the retaker, which I think it was not fair at all. And I think there are a lot of people like me. So please hear me out and consider this retake opportunity, eligibility, reconsider, please. Thank you.
Next, we have Cam. Your microphone has been enabled.
Let me be very clear. There's no possible way to recreate the laboratory conditions of taking this bar. There's no way to extinguish the mental anguish experienced across multiple days due to inexperienced proctors. There's no way to account for the lack of information or disinformation that was communicated or not communicated over multiple days. The hubris currently on display by the California Bar Association is unmatched and unprecedented. The situation calls for nothing less than provisional licensure without retaking a bar. This is your failure. This was within your control. This was your responsibility. There is no acceptable, equitable resolution to this. You caused it, you own it, period.
Next, we have Di. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello, your microphone has been enabled. You just need to unmute yourself. Okay, we can come back to Di. Okay, next, we have Ali Roseboro. Your microphone has been enabled.
Good afternoon. I come here to respectfully share my deep concerns about the fairness and integrity of the February 2025 bar exam. I sat in person, and I would like to echo the previous speaker's sentiment about just the sheer unorganization and the chaotic, disruptive environment that we were testing in. I would like to focus my time on the experimental exam, specifically the awarding of the automatic 40-point increase to certain examinees for participating in the experimental exam. While I understand the importance of testing exam materials, the decision to award some examinees a substantial scoring advantage before the test has even begun created inherently unfair testing environments. And regardless of any technical issues or substantive mishaps on the exam, the fact that some examinees effectively started with a 40-point head start while others began at 0 placed those who were not awarded these points at a material disadvantage. And this disparity is inconsistent with the principle of a fair and standard.
Next, we have Zoe Montanar. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, hello, am I?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Zoe Montaner. I am a citizen journalist, and I just, found out about this insanity, and I'm so sorry for all the people that wanted to take this exam. But I'm calling because of another situation, and it's the Santa Monica City Attorney's Office and the lawyers of the Santa Monica City Attorney's Office have been used by a political organization that is Santa Monica for Renters' Rights and the Santa Monica Democratic Club to basically influence the decisions on who gets justice and who gets prosecuted or not. This is just beyond egregious, and I am filing complaints against each one of the attorneys, but I wanted you to know that this is coming to the news because I'm going to report it, and I'm building a podcast to talk about the injustices.
We apologize for your time is up.
Thank you.
Next, we have Marve. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm a foreign attorney who took the California bar exam for the 7th time in this February exam. In my first 5 attempts, I had undiagnosed health issues, so I take responsibility for that times. Last July, I passed the MB portion with a higher score, but I failed the exam by 15 points because of the subjective essay grading. My issue for this time, I don't want to voice all the technical issues. I think it's been spoken enough. I have a problem with this experimental exam, which was only provided to certain students, candidates who are going to take the February exam. I didn't even know until I found out on Reddit. Not only those students are promised for 40 points, we are given same questions. So they ask the same questions they ask on the experimental exam.
Next, we have Victoria Tulsidas. Your microphone has been enabled. Your microphone has been enabled. You just need to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the audience. I just want to say that as a mother of 5, I've been very, very prejudiced by this entire experience. I've gone through it twice. The first time I was not properly compensated. I would like to be put to work. I thank Eddie Arufo for being there for all of us, because as an educator, he's tutored us for free. Some of us, we've been placed at a financial advantage. We just want to be placed at work. We want to be put to work. They need to institute a remedy. Some type of conditional or provisional licensure is immediately needed to remedy this problem. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We want to get to work. People have families to take care of. I, for one, have been severely prejudiced by this, and I am not happy.
Okay. Next we have iPhone Dylan. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I just want to say that the exam was proctored terribly. I think people weren't given a fair chance to prove what they know in this exam, and that's evident by the software outages and the fact that 85 people have to retake this exam it's unexcusable. This was a terrible exam, and the remedy should be nothing short of provisional licenses granted to everybody or an automatic passage. And those provisional licenses should have our requirements that will, grow and ripen into a licensure. There should be no need to retake this exam for anybody who took it in February 2025 due to how terrible it was. Beyond that, the multiple choice questions were also horribly written. As other people have said, no other prep materials indicated any kind of similar question to this. Therefore, we weren't tested on what we were prepared to know, and therefore we should be graded on this because we had no ability to prepare for these kinds of questions. Those should be the equitable remedies, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Next, we have Saren Aitekin. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello, your microphone has been enabled. You just need to unmute yourself. Okay, we can come back. Next, we have Mitzi. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, my name is Mitzi Kushum. I sat for the February 24 exam, and I will echo all the other issues that my colleagues have mentioned. In addition, I actually experienced this weird thing where I was awarded extra time on the exam for like 30 minutes. So this is obviously an advantage to me, but I'm not sure if it was flagged. So I don't know what that, like, the adjustment of scores based on my responses would be extremely unfair to the rest of my colleagues when I was awarded 30 minutes of extra time compared to those that did not have enough time or their exams were submitted. I think the solution for this is a provisional license without a requirement to retake this exam. I think through the California's regulation of schools and courses that we take, we are
Apologize for your time is up. Next, we have Parisa Shabaju. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, my name is Parisa and I sat for the February 25 bar exam. I will not be talking about my issues because I already communicated that to the state bar and you have heard what issues we face from other victims. When looking at the board members right now on Zoom, I can see you all are tired, annoyed, frustrated, and probably exhausted from hearing the same thing over and over again. I want to tell you to all put yourselves in our shoes. Stop sending us vague emails that say the same thing over and over again, and send a poll on what we prefer to be the remedy. Advocate for us. We cannot get the last 3 months back or do anything for the next couple months until we hear if we pass the exam or not. Tell us now what options for remedies we have and help us. The additional 40 points offered originally to those who volunteered to take the exam in November should be offered to all of us because we were your guinea pigs. We are human beings who have been waiting too long to start our careers. This is an error by the state bar. It is not our fault. It is yours. Do better. Thank you.
Next, we have Katie Scally. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Scally. I'm an attorney in New York State. I was a prosecutor for 13 years, and there's a saying we had in Brooklyn Criminal Court, too bad, so sad. We showed up, we were ready to take the test. You guys couldn't give it. Too bad, so sad. We get our licenses. That's how it works in the real world. This is an alternate universe that we're living in this court. It's all of it's against us. We don't get an extra 25 cents. We're gypped 25 cents. There's no real rules in this world that exist in the outside world. Too bad, so sad. Where's my license? I showed up. I was ready to go.
I believe you're done with your comment. We'll move on to the next person. This person is H. Your microphone has been enabled.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to inform the State Bar that it is well known that a few minutes can make a significant difference in our overall bar exam. Many applicants lost significant time due to technical issues and other distractions while the clock continued to run. And we were offered, or some of us were offered, a retake opportunity for those only who have submitted fewer than 4 written responses, and it is simple and clear. It's unjust to all others who lost time. The California State Bar has failed in its responsibility to ensure a fair testing environment. While the California State Bar prides itself on holding a higher standard than most, if not all, other states, it has failed. As a result, we demand provisional licensure for February 2025 applicants, as the State Bar's failure to administer a fair exam must not go unaddressed. We showed up, but the State Bar has failed us, and thank you.
Next, we have Sandra Chavez. Your microphone has been enabled. Oh, I do apologize. One moment. Okay, there we go. Sandra, your microphone has been enabled.
Hello. Honestly, it has been an absolute disaster the way the State Bar has administered this exam. Quite frankly, I mean, as you've heard from my peers, there have been so many issues, and this isn't even talking about from like on game day. The State Bar has been told since January, probably before then, as to like the issues when the town hall was held, yet we were ignored. And as for immediate remedies, like the remedies that are currently being offered are just not enough, and they're inadequate to actually satisfy what we went through. At minimum, provisional licenses should be offered without having to take this exam again, at least in the current circumstances that is being offered. Kaplan, Meazure learning, I don't even understand. And everything that's being provided to us is very vague. It's not clear, especially with the time frame. Quite frankly, I call for the...
Next, we have Christina Katsapi. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hello. So I'm a foreign attorney and I took the exam in person in the State Bar in downtown LA. Besides all the technical issues that have already been addressed, I would like to address the fact that people were, especially for the first day, the essays were given to people in different order. People were able to read their phones during the breaks, the small break. People were able to talk about the essay questions when other people hadn't faced these essays yet. So I would like you to take into account the fact that the fairness and the integrity, especially for the essay part, was completely violated. People were able to start their exam in different times. People were able to talk, to reach out to their phones. And I myself witnessed people to talk during the big break about essays that they still hadn't faced while the other people faced them. And the passing scores.
Next, we have Carla Ek Al Hadidi. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, I took the exam entirely handwritten with a hard copy and would like to raise other violations the bar made. The penalty the bar imposed on those of us who requested hard copies was to unjustifiably and unreasonably remove our clocks or any way of tracking our time. After months of practicing time management for a high-pressured exam, we were only given the 5-minute and 1-minute warning. Each time my proctor stirred, I felt a moment of panic, unsure if she was about to announce the 5-minute mark. The bar continues to attribute testing problems to Meazure, but the reality is that the bar retained the authority to negotiate our testing conditions. If the bar could craft and enforce an ironclad contract against examinees, how did the bar become the weaker party when dealing with Meazure? The responsibility for a fair and functional testing process lies with the bar, not with the examinees. And as such,
your time is up. Next, we have Erica F. Your microphone has been enabled.
Thank you. My name is Erica Farmer, and I spoke to this body prior to the bar exam, telling you that I thought that this exam was going to be unfair to accommodated and disabled test takers. And guess what? It was. The exam got rid of the spell check function, which is very important, especially for takers with dyslexia, just days prior to the exam, and they didn't even announce it in an email. They just posted on their website that they were getting rid of spell check because it fixed other functionality issues. Of course, we know that wasn't the case because the server crashed on the second day, causing an outage for virtually everyone, as far as I can tell. And I personally experienced that on the first day, a proctor remoted into my computer and turned off my computer due to software issues. Now let's talk about remedies. I think you should be granting provisional licenses to anyone who passes character and fitness.
I apologize for your time. It's up. Next, we have Jake Wygand. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to start by saying how ridiculous it is that the State Bar knew this was going to be a disaster, as evidenced by the fact that you already had a retake exam scheduled prior to the start of the actual exam. Further, we were told there would be no material change to the exam, but there were several. This was the first time examinees were forced to take exactly 1 hour on each essay and 90 minutes on the performance test. This is material as it drastically affects individuals' abilities to maximize their score in their stronger subjects. Next, the multiple choice questions were decidedly different. They were riddled with typos, grammatical errors, misstatements of law, and there were several without a correct answer. This is evidence of a material change on its face. I urge the State Bar to look into the following remedies. Anyone within 100 points on a previous administration should be granted a passing grade. You should look into super scoring, as mentioned previously, and I believe you should also lower the passing score for this administration. Thank you.
Next, we have Darshini Gala. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello, your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Darshini. I am a foreign attorney. I have traveled all the way from India to sit for the exam in person as I did not want to take any chance with the remote format. But despite making this effort, I encountered significant technical difficulties as all the other students have, but it has negatively impacted my performance. This was not on me, this was on the bar. This does not talk about my ability to give the exam. The system lagged significantly. PTs did not have copy paste option. There were time lagging when switching tabs, the system errors in the middle of taking MBEs, because of which we had to take MBEs again. Given the high stakes of this exam, such technical issues created undue stress and placed us candidates at unfair disadvantage. To make matters worse, I was not qualified to retake the exam. My flights were booked to get back, and now I'm uncertain about how to move forward. Everyone here has taken the bar, has suffered, has studied for months,
I do
and had
apologize
made the
for your
bar.
time is up. Next, we have Catherine Valle. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi. So I took the exam in February 2025, as the rest of everyone else has mainly. Again, issues have already been talked about, but the remedies that should be looked into is provisional licensing without requiring someone to retake the exam, because I'm pretty sure a majority of people that take the bar in February are retakers. And someone has taken this 3 times. This is my 4th try, and it puts way too much stress and weight on an exam that was completely unfair to us. A lot of us put everything we've had to take time off work, had to make arrangements for bills or whatever it is, whatever have you, having to spend money on bar prep materials again and again. And it just seems like this is the only way. It's either provisional licensing under a supervised attorney for a certain amount of hours, and that way we're able to be allowed into the state bar to practice that way. Thank you.
Next, we have Eugene Stephen. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello, your microphone has been enabled. Okay, we'll come back to Eugene. Next, we have Anna Park von Simon. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I was a February 2025 bar taker, and I'm not going to go in detail because you've already heard a lot of it, but when I went to submit my first essay, the entire server crashed for me, and it said internal server error, and I still, to this day, don't know if that essay has been submitted or not. I reached out to the bar, and I got no response. I wanted to focus on the fact that prior to the exam, there were quite a few issues that then affected our preparation for and the exam itself. There was a lot of contradictory statements made between the California bar and Meazure. We were getting conflicting information from different sources. A lot of stuff was being posted on Reddit or put as a notice on the bar exam website rather than being in an email to everyone equally. There were changes made without notice to anyone. Specifically, I think the biggest issue would be the red line document that was posted only after people noticed that it had already been changed.
I apologize for your time is up. One moment. Okay, I will go back to Eugene. Your microphone has been enabled. We will move on. Next, we have Shelby Luchesi. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I am a retaker of the exam. I took the exam in October 2020 when the Supreme Court and the state bar had decided to postpone the exam with the same amount of months that they were given to have the February 2025 exam. From higher ups in the administration that I will not name, but would gladly name, they have told me the reasons why they did not go to the Supreme Court to postpone this exam. And it was because it would take too much trouble to go to the legislator, too much time to do it. And they didn't want to go to the Supreme Court who they went to with their tail tucked between their legs for promoting an exam that would be ready when it wasn't. They're also admitted that they are using the same psychometrics from the July 2021 exam.
We apologize for your time is up. Moment. Next, we have Laura Bennett. Your microphone has been enabled. Oh, I do apologize. One moment. We have Laura Bennett. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'd like to speak to the content of the exam, specifically Kaplan's multiple choice questions. Everyone knows that MCQs don't just test you on your black letter law, but on your understanding of convoluted hypotheticals, pattern recognition, etc. For the MBEs, we have had thousands of past questions to practice with, and the fact that we received 25 sample Kaplan questions to study and practice is laughable. And the fact that 2 of those 25 questions had to be corrected, one because the law behind it was fundamentally wrong, is absolutely egregious. Doing 200 of those unfamiliar, unprecedented questions truly felt like we were flying blind. Moving forward, if Kaplan continues to write these questions, Kaplan and the California Bar must provide comprehensive study materials for examinees, and to restore trust in their ability to create these questions, they must provide full transparency regarding the questions, answers, and explanations for the February 2025 exam.
Right, Louise, before we go on to the next public commenter, just want to remind people that we're giving public commenters an option to do a 1-minute public comment. And we'll get to those first. And then after the 1-minute commenters are done, we'll switch over to individuals wishing to give 2 minutes of public comments. Understand we have individuals raising their hands. I just want to make sure that everybody who's raised their hands are volunteering to do the 1 minute comment. So give a couple of seconds for people to update. All right, Luis, if we go on to the next.
Next we have Sonia C. Your microphone has been enabled.
Thank you. My name is Sonia Chen. I'm a first-time February bar examiner. I come to you respectfully and with a dream to become one of your esteemed colleagues one day. Unfortunately, I experienced severe technical issues, and I'm one of the 85 examinees selected to retake the exam. I'm speaking today demanding to know, one, when this organization will announce what the remedies are, what's your timeline to come up with a solution, and two, when will you be announcing what materials will be covered on the retake on March 18th and 19th? Will it just be essays? Will it be PT? Will it be the entire retake? My family member just suffered an emergency across the country and I need to book my flight. I'm here in this meeting, hoping for clarity to know what type of study materials I should bring with me. I would like to use the remaining time that I have to say how obscene and cruel this is for me to be thinking about studying and preparing for a surprise retake that I believe many of my brilliant peers have been robbed of.
We apologize for your time is up. Next, we have Hugh Jasol. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello, your microphone has been enabled. Yes.
I just have a quick comment that everyone who approved this should resign. That is all. Thank you.
Next, we have Edmund Geardy. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm here to recommend a remedy related to a specific group of examinees from February 2025, and that's the licensed attorneys who took this exam. The topic of provisional licenses has been pitched by the California law deans in a letter to the Supreme Court, and I know there's other groups providing their feedback online supporting this provisional license plan. However, as it relates to licensed attorneys who took the February bar exam, I disagree with that as a reasonable solution to our circumstances. These folks have all provided certificates of good standing from their respective states, and after this gauntlet, licensed attorneys have proved their mettle, and they've previously established their competence and ethics in their respective states. As someone with young children who took 4 months off to prepare for this test, another such break from earning a living is not sustainable. So please give serious consideration to providing full licenses to those examinees who took this February exam who are fully licensed in other states. Thank you.
Next, we have Kamla Rahman. Your microphone has been enabled.
On both days, we started hours later than intended, and we all started at different times, which was distracting for many of us considering people were going in and out of the room. Like how everyone else stated, I have complaints about the multiple choice and how it was vague, incomplete. There was grammatical errors and how it was missing facts. We didn't have copy and paste for the essays. Proctors and test takers were talking mid-exam, which was very distracting, even though I had earplugs in. But I need to focus on day one, I took the test in Ontario Center. Many people were cheating. During the 5-minute break, each of them would leave the room and review their notes. Since there was no strict 5-minute limit, they could stay out there as long as they wanted to before returning to the next essay, which the California bar had stated that checking notes between breaks was prohibited. I've also read on Reddit and others have stated that others would share the topics before going back in the room, and because the essays were not in the same order. I believe you guys need to come to a fair remedy and give everyone who took the exam in good faith a pass. And I would like to note that Mary, it looks like she's not even paying attention. So how are we supposed to know you guys are taking us serious? Thank you.
Next, we have Yoon Won. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello, your microphone has been enabled. You just need to unmute yourself.
Hi, I speak on behalf of thousands of applicants who have reasonably and detrimentally relied on the remote option of the bar exam in July. Some of 1,000 applicants withdrew from February exam in anticipation of a better remote testing. If you guys now tell them that they cannot take the July exam remotely, and the February exam which you advised them to withdraw from was their last opportunity, ladies and gentlemen of the board, this is cruel, unreasonable, and unacceptable. Therefore, I urge the board to consider the concrete detrimental reliance made by the significant number of applicants based on the promise of remote testing. The reliance is not speculative, but real and substantial. I urge you to retain the remote option, or at least provide accommodations for those who cannot travel to California in person. Thank you.
Next, we have Cami Dixon. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, thank you. The entire integrity of this exam has been called into question, not by the exam takers who gave this the good faith effort and dedication it required, but by the State Bar. How can this test be graded with any amount of accuracy? A standardized test is supposed to be fair and objective because they're consistent and reduce bias. No one had a consistent experience here. I had technical issues that were severe, but not so severe that I couldn't turn in complete essays. But the technical issues were enough that any of my work is going to be subpar than what it was when I practiced. If we can impute scores based on previous essays, why are we doing that on subpar essays that are a result of a faulty software that clearly wasn't tested? If we can impute scores based on previous work, why aren't we doing that based on something like my degree that I earned from an accredited school, or the fact that we all had to be found competent to even sit for this exam? The remedies we've been offered so far are just grossly inadequate given what we've given up and what we have at stake and the just sheer emotional distress that we have all suffered as a result.
Next, we have Joanna DeLassy. Your microphone has been enabled.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Here are the remedies that I'm hoping that we can have. I need you to immediately cancel the contract with Mezzanine and Kaplan immediately. People in July should not have to be subjected to what you know is fundamentally awful and you don't have the time to fix. You need to provide applicants with the ability to audit any materials submitted during the exam if you decide to proceed with grading. You need to publicly release and heavily scrutinize the MBE questions for accuracy, resulting in the elimination of questions, accompanied with a public acknowledgement and explanation with documentation about Kaplan's personnel involved in the drafting and use of copied questions from Adaptive Bar or NCBE, as there were several. You need to return to the NCBE immediately, and to cover the costs, you can use the people that you fire and or remove. Their salaries can cover that cost. You need to immediately fire and remove all persons who made the decision to close the phone line at 3 p.m. despite knowing that there were ongoing issues with test takers and left them to struggle with the frustration of not knowing what to do. There needs to be oversight into grading.
Your time is up. Next, we have Shara Darden. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you all for providing this opportunity. I wanted to talk about, just give notice about this retake that's coming up. I'm a first-time taker of the February bar exam, completed 3 essays before I got locked out. I was able to complete day 2, but there were several technical glitches. I did the exam remote at my law school's library, and I'm one of the 85 people who qualify for the retake on March 18th and 19th. And I want to say, agreeing with everyone else, the exam experience was devastating and demoralizing. However, my greatest concern is that in communications with the bar, with the state bar, I'm being told that there was a sentence in the notice that I got. If you attempt to take the exam using the same computer equipment or connect to the same network, we fear that you may face the same obstacles to completing the exam. So now, do I need a new computer and I'm not allowed to take it at my law school?
I apologize for your time is up. Moment. Next, we have Ramona Baldonado. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to start off and say that I feel cheated and disrespected. The exam to determine competency in law was not even a competent exam at all. You have failed all of us test takers. You knew the exam was bad. You gave out refunds to withdrawers, and you allow fee waivers for July, and a retake was already planned in advance. You put on an exam that you already knew was crap. You planned ahead for this. It's just a joke. You guys take our lives as jokes. It's so unfair to us. This exam was not a valid and fair assessment of competence at all. This exam that you put out proves that this bar exam is nothing but a business. It does not determine competency at all. The MBE questions were poorly worded, legally inaccurate, missing key facts and elements, and we were forced to decipher the meaning, make assumptions, and speculate rather than apply legal reasoning to the questions. Riddles and puzzles with answers, choices.
Apologize for your time, sir. Next, we have Nicholas. Your microphone has been enabled.
Okay, to the State Bar Board of Trustees, thank you for your time today. Seriously, the notion that a standardized exam measures legal competency is fundamentally flawed. The bar exam does not assess real-world skills. As an attorney licensed in Wisconsin through diploma privilege at the University of Wisconsin Law School, I have seen firsthand that rigorous legal education and practical training produce excellent attorneys without the need for a bar exam. My classmates and I became skilled, ethical attorneys without ever taking one. Further, the fairness of the California bar exam is in question, even assuming there were no technological issues. The experimental exam contained questions that later appeared on the actual test, giving some applicants unfair prior exposure, in addition to 40 extra points. The 85 individuals will also be exposed twice to those questions. Finally, in closing, if the goal is true competency and public protection, alternative pathways such as diploma privilege must be seriously considered. The current model serves more as an arbitrary barrier than a fair assessment of legal ability. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I believe there's some delay happening with the timer. So give me just a moment to see if we can figure that out. Just a moment. Okay, we're gonna try to restart the timer. Next we have Julie Malik. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for allowing us to be here. So besides the obvious issues with the tech and environmental distractions around us, I want to highlight serious concerns, just as so many have already mentioned, about the Kaplan created multiple choice questions. The questions were completely flawed, failing to accurately reflect the law or reasoning expected on the exam. I guess my main issue was the issue with the answer choices, which were either all completely incorrect or all technically correct, making it almost impossible to determine the best answer. You let us know that we should prepare in the way we have been. So many of us continue to rely on these prep materials like Themis, UWorld, to be representative of the actual test, and it just wasn't. I pray I never have to take this exam again, but if I absolutely have to, there needs to be stronger oversight and accountability to ensure that these multiple choice questions are accurate and representative of the law that we prepared for. Thank you.
Next, we have Ashley R. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, I would like to propose a request for a credit or a waiver for the recent bar takers, which would allow us to take the bar exam on our own terms since we don't know what's going on. This adjustment would alleviate the pressure of feeling obligated to take the exam in July, given the uncertainty regarding whether similar circumstances may arise in July. And also, Mary Hooser, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Can you spit out your gum while we're speaking? We find it very disrespectful. That is all. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, I'm just going to note the time is 3:42. We have about 18 minutes left before we hit that 2-hour limit. What I'm going to do is have you go through those who made an advance sign up and give them the option of giving a 1-minute public comment.
The first person that we have signed up is a phone number ending in, sorry, one moment. Ending in 6289. And I do not see that person in attendance. Next, we have Benjamin Cohn. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yes, thank you. I first want to address the growing pattern of serious and irreparable bodily harm occurring from the in-person administration of the bar exam, which should make you not want to long-term eliminate remote testing as an option. A prior commenter spoke about having a miscarriage due to the conditions by Meazure this exam, and I'll remind you of the bodily injuries that were reported to you due to the open barn bee-swarmed testing accommodations only applicants part at the Cow Palace, and the ongoing COVID safety issues, as well as those in earlier phases of the pandemic. Notwithstanding the California Supreme Court's directive to only offer in-person testing as a standard condition, July 2025, for subsequent exam cycles, when the evolving vendor situation stabilizes, the state bar should restore remote testing, which has a myriad of disability accessibility, safety, travel cost sparing, state bar cost savings, logistical, and other benefits, and should, without the NCB involved, should begin complying with the obligation to do testing accommodations for remote. I have several others, but that's it.
Next, we have a phone number ending in 8068, and I do not see that person in attendance. Next, we have Maureen. I do see 2 Maureens in attendance, but however, I do not see their hand raised. And we have next Melissa Shriver, and I do not see Melissa in attendance. Next, we have a phone number ending in 0784. I do not see that person in attendance. Next, we have Tillman Hire. And I do see Tillman in attendance. Your microphone has been enabled.
Thank you, trustees, for taking this comment. I echo all the concerns that previous commenters has faced. I also want to add that the bar needs to look at its culture of public transparency or lack thereof. You can look at the news section of your website. You can look at all your social media. There's been zero communication to the general public about all these issues with the bar exam, zero acknowledgement. The obligation that you have to regulate the legal profession, including effective administration of the bar exam, is something that you owe to the public, not just the test takers. So the bar needs to be open, forthcoming, and transparent with the general public of people of the state of California as well. We need to have a culture of transparency, not opacity. The bar needs to take accountability. The fact that no one has announced their resignation leads me to believe that the bar is not taking this seriously enough and still fails to grasp the gravity of the situation. The fact that the administration of the bar has never been so problematic suggests the bar also has never been less competent in test administration. Consequences and reform must follow.
Next, we have phone number ending in 5831. I do see that person in attendance. However, they do not have their hand raised. Next, we have Ray Hayden. Your microphone has been enabled.
There we go. Okay, so you all know everything. I sent in something in advance. It was what went right, what went wrong. Thank you, Mr. Tony. I gotcha. I did also a daily report on each day of things that went wrong. But what I want to do here is I want to give you a great news about the February 2025 California bar exam. I'm a guy in Florida. So every time I hear you guys talking about the guy in Florida, I pretty much assume it's me. But I was able to take a successful and complete remote exam in my laundry room. Okay, so I've been fighting for the remote exam for years to bring it back. As a matter of fact, I refuse to go unless it is remote. And it worked. It was a nightmare. It had massive issues, as you know, but my belief is that a lot of us had been successful anyway in being able to actually submit our entire exam, nightmare and all. And I think I got confirmation that I did have all of my submission sessions did get put in there. And I'm sorry I had more, but we'll talk later.
Your time is up. Next, we have Rashonda Castile. I do not see Rashonda in attendance. Next, we have Bill Riley. I do see Bill in attendance, however, his hand is not raised. Next, we have Tiffany Zendeas. Tiffany is not in attendance. Next, we have Claire Salat. Your microphone has been enabled, Claire.
It is clear that attempting to offer a retake or grade the retakes or the exam submitted previously would be inequitable, scientifically flawed, will take an additional time drain from staff, and will likely result in additional lawsuits. The best way to address the February applicants is to offer all 5,600 two options. They can sit for the July bar exam without charge, or that it can apply to become part of the alternative pathway to licensure. The February applicants are an ideal pilot population, as they are new to the practice of law and many have current jobs or job offers pending. The court's decision not to support a PBE pilot previously was based on procedural obstacles that have already been or can be easily addressed and concerns about potential risks to the participants and the public that have not materialized in the jurisdictions using supervised practice methods of licensure or the current PLLs, who have now been practicing law for more than 4 years. As a reminder, 84% of the public supports the PBE. I urge DOT to cease work on the retake.
I apologize, Claire, but your time is up.
The PBE pilot.
We'll go back to Maureen. Your microphone has been enabled.
Thank you. Like so many, I sat for the California bar exam just last week and faced numerous difficulties. I mirror my colleagues' pleas for remedies, including refunding every single test taker, raising the passage rate, lowering the passing score, firing all responsible administrators, and the immediate resignation of Leah Wilson. The February bar exam was an arbitrary and avoidable screw up. The state bar's failures transformed into burdens examinees are now forced to shoulder, obstacles we should not have to overcome. I refuse to believe that I fought through every challenge during law school only to be stopped short by the very institution that is supposed to ensure a just and equitable process. I am asking you, not just as an examinee, but as someone who will soon stand beside you in this profession, do what is right, because if we as future attorneys are expected to uphold the integrity of the legal profession, we must first see it upheld in the very process that grants us entry. Thank you.
Next, we have Todd Hill. One moment. I do see Todd in attendance, but not with his hand raised. So we'll go to the next person. James Cardoza. Okay. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yes, hello. Thanks for calling on me. First off, I agree with the gentleman from Wisconsin and empathize with those who have faced financial, psychological, and medical hardship. I'd like the State Bar to take notice of the cases of Janus versus AFSCME and North Carolina Dental Examiners versus FTC. I'd also like the State Bar to take notice of possible violation of corporation and LLC's Sixth Amendment rights to self-representation caused by the unauthorized practice of law statute. With that in mind, I'd like to recommend that provisional licensing be granted for anyone who qualified to take the exam until 30 days after the next general election. I'd also like to recommend that the State Bar recommend to the legislature and the Supreme Court to overturn the unauthorized practice of law statute and mandatory bar membership subject to voter approval. Thank you very much. Have a good day and fix this mess, please.
Next, we have phone number ending in 5910. I do not see that person in attendance. Next, we have, just give me a moment. Next, we have Xiomara Galliano. Okay. Your microphone has been enabled.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Xiomara Galliano, and I am a member of the State Bar of California. I am here to express my deep concerns about the February 2024 administration of the State Bar exam. The last-minute changes to the practice material provided by the State Bar, the technological issues that plague examinees on the day of the exam, the overall unpredictability of the process, and the last-minute emails containing conflicting instructions have called into question the integrity of the State Bar exam. Last-minute communications from the State Bar to the examinees suggested that this body anticipated complications on the day of the exam, which is unacceptable for such a crucial step in starting a legal career. The uncertainty surrounding the exam has created unnecessary burdens for individuals who have already invested considerable time, energy, and financial resources into their legal education. The proposal that examinees can simply retake the exam, even at no cost, is an inadequate and shameful response that fails to consider not only the examinees' lost time and income, but the emotional and mental. Thank you.
Next, we have Farida. I do see Farida in attendance, but not with her hand raised. And next we have Becky Hoffman. Your microphone has been enabled.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. One moment. Like many of my fellow speakers, I took the exam last week, and like many of them, I encountered numerous issues with technology, unprepared proctors, lack of promised features, etc. I'll cut to the chase. You must provide a fair and equitable remedy. Please take this opportunity for accountability. This exam has been a tremendous burden on us, and it's unfortunate that instead of walking out of the exam room feeling accomplished or relieved, we feel the distressing uncertainty is only beginning. Speaking up today is not easy. Many of us worry about making waves by calling out the very institution we're praying grants us admission to the profession. Some examinees are silent out of fear of adverse moral character determinations, and others worry that calling attention to themselves will hurt their chances of passing the bar. Instead of holding our advocacy against us, I hope that you will allow us to gain licensure and use it to change this world for the better. There must be other ways for you to make this right. One such way is to afford the same honesty, transparency, and information that you've required of us during the admissions process by releasing the 200 multiple choice questions written by Kaplan. Thank you.
Next, we have Katie Moran. Your microphone has been enabled.
All right, good afternoon to the Bar Board of Trustees. My name is Katie Moran. I'm a member of our state bar, and I'm associate professor at USF School of Law. I'm here today to discuss remedies for those who took the February bar exam and to ensure it does not happen again for our July examinees and beyond. I agree with what the ABA accredited California deans said in their letter about the July bar. We have to return to in-person and go back to the multi-state bar exam. After interviewing dozens of examinees and reading every draft of every released Kaplan question, I am 100% confident that the bar has to return to validated MBE questions. If we don't, the bar would repeat its mistake and would continue with Kaplan's inferior, unvalidated questions. I'm also calling for an audit of the 200 questions that were given on the February bar. I have serious doubts about the accuracy of the law. Scalers have to be given the opportunity to look at reference materials and check before they can see if people can.
Apologize for your time is up. We do not have any additional members who signed up in advance, Chair.
Can we go then to any other individuals who have raised their hand?
Yes. Next, we have Georgie Cruz. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello, your microphone has been enabled. You would have to unmute yourself in order for us to hear you. We can come back. Next, we have Edward Brickell. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hello there. Hope you all can hear me. I'm a 2025 February applicant as well. I'm looking at all your faces. I know you're real people as well, as has been said by other people already. I just want to say, like, we're real humans as well. This was very difficult. This was a horrible time. I graduated law school early in an attempt to get a job and pay my bills and afford Los Angeles. And I don't know where I stand now. The only thing I would add, because I'm not going to take up a bunch of time since you all have heard repeatedly how terrible this was, is much what that professor was just saying, which is please release the 200 questions. Don't hold them back. Let the public see how bad Kaplan's questions were. I have serious questions about why they weren't reviewed properly ahead of time. I have my own doubts that they were perhaps even written by AI. I mean, they were terrible. And I want to say thank you for your time. I know this is tough for you all to sit here and hear this as well. So thank you.
Next, we have Lori Brown. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 moment. We have Lori Brown. There we go. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, this is Lori Brown. I am a licensed attorney in Ohio, and I took the exam. And I would just like to say that a provisional license would not satisfy anybody who took that exam. That is an unacceptable remediation. I think that we took the exam under unprecedented conditions, and so the bar needs to come up with something other than a provisional license, because that would not satisfy. I've been practicing law for 20 years. I have never had any disciplinary issues, and I think all the test takers would like a full license. We deserve our full license. Thank you.
Next, we have Harry Martin. Your microphone has been enabled.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I'm a February 2025 remote first-time exam taker. I have filed my multiple issues throughout this process, dating back to the mock exam with the bar, and they echo everybody else's. My comment is directed at this body and the others who failed to provide adequate oversight and subjected us all to this catastrophic exam. You all knew this meeting was coming as much as we did. Your lack of meaningful engagement with takers who raised these legitimate issues in the lead up to the exam, and the disdain and dismissal with which we continue to be treated, suggests a lack of integrity in the systems and institutions charged with regulating admissions to the California bar and undermines the legal profession as a whole. I hope this creates an opportunity for everyone involved in this process to reflect on what level of professional courtesy and respect are owed to candidates and your future colleagues who have already met all the criteria needed to sit for this exam, what it truly means for any of us to be deemed competent to practice law in California in light of the circumstances, and whether this body is capable of doing so.
Next, we have Lynn. Your microphone has been enabled.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
And thank you, dear members of the board. We respectfully urge the California State Bar to continue offering the remote testing option for the July 2025 administration and beyond. Many candidates invested significant time and resources, paying hundreds of dollars in registration fees and making live arrangements based on the understanding that remote testing would be available starting February 2025, which should not be jeopardized by a vendor's failure. Additionally, numerous candidates chose to forego the February 2025 exam in reliance on the State Bar's commitment to providing July 2025 exam under the exact same remote testing option. The challenges experienced during the February 2025 administration stem from organizational and vendor-related issues, not from the remote testing itself, which has already proven its viability during the COVID-19 pandemic, demonstrating that the remote testing itself is sound and when carried out competently. So please.
We have CJ Huck, Law Clerk, Public Defender. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm not going to rehash and beat a dead horse. Y'all have been taking your licks on all the issues. My issue is a little more specific. I was an accommodated in-person taker, and my biggest gripe was, besides everything else that's already been addressed, my appointment got canceled twice. I didn't know where I was taking the exam until the day before. And I had to travel several hundred miles just to take that exam. So lodging and other expenses, it just added to the frustration, uncertainty, all the things, including the anxiety that already comes with a test of this magnitude. So I just want to address that. I'm not going to take anybody else's time because I think all the other issues I completely concur with because we all experience the same things. But thank you for your time.
Next, we have Nyasha Soda. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, I am not going to reiterate all of the different problems that have been going on, both on the technical side and even with the MBE. I will say I had I believe it would be a unique issue where the language of my keyboard kept changing to Russian, which is really inconvenient when I'm trying to be typing in English and I'm not understanding what is on the screen. But also just to address for the remedies, I know that it's been brought up multiple times, having provisional licenses without having to retake the bar exam. And I want to push back on that in saying that I think that we deserve full licenses. Having a provisional license would limit the types of law we can practice and also even the jobs that we can, because there are many law firms who don't accept provisional licenses. And so we would be in a situation where we can't practice to the full extent of our potential because we have this, and it shouldn't be on us. We shouldn't be punished for the failure of the bar to administer a fair, standardized test because of your failures.
Next, we have Alexis Kiwi. Sorry, one moment. Next, we have Alexis Kiwi. Your microphone has been enabled.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I took this recent examination and I actually became eligible in 2020, so this wasn't my first time at the rodeo under these kind of conditions. I am kind of shocked because in 2020 and 2021 and so forth and so on, when there was remote testing, there were minor glitches, but I mean, it was significantly different as opposed to this one. I think the biggest issue and concern that I have is, why push for this new system when it was just not properly, filtered? There wasn't enough practice with it. The other issue is the provisionally licensed lawyering. I am one of those. I have been practicing. I've done many trials. I've actually been successful in many of those trials. And on the competence scale, I'm able to appear, represent client interest. The only thing that I'm not able to do is receive client funds, which honestly hinders my ability to actually pursue life. I'm broke. I'm the brokest attorney around. Just take that into consideration.
Next, we have iPhone. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello, your microphone has been enabled.
What name are you asking for?
It says iPhone.
Oh, it should be Shirlene Clach, sorry. In the spirit of transparency, I urge you to release the scores of the November experimental exam. We were told we would receive our scores and feedback. Nobody's received their scores as of yet. I didn't take the February bar exam because of the disaster of the November experimental exam. People like me that put it off one more Testing Administration, we're not going to be compensated in any way. I'm a licensed private investigator with the state of California through the Department of Consumer Affairs. As a licensed investigator, we can access highly sensitive personal and financial information about nearly everyone, meaning our level of public trust is equal to or greater than what most attorneys hold. Yet, all we had to do is take 6,000 hours under a licensed private investigator or through our employment, such as law enforcement, and pass a simple 120 multiple choice exam, Department of Justice, FBI background check. An alternative option is to require law school graduates to work under a licensed attorney for 2 to 3 years full-time and take a basic entry-level test with a normal passing rate as any other provisional licensing test. Please require Kaplan to refrain from using AI.
Thanks for your microphone.
Thank you.
Your time is up. Next, we have Yuki Shimiya. Your microphone has been enabled.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I took the exam last week from Japan, and I faced several like technical issues or other issues. But like, nevertheless, I want to show my appreciation to you all. Like, when you try new things, there should be a lot of problems or difficulties, and this time you are doing your best to solve the financial difficulty or financial problem. So like there were several complaints from test takers so far, but like I just wanted to say thank you here. That's why I raised my hand. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
Next, we have Stephen Zendeas. Your microphone has been enabled. Hello, your microphone has been enabled. You just have to unmute yourself. Okay, we'll come back. Next, we have Lily Kaplan's iPhone.
Hi, my name is Lily. I didn't have the misfortune of taking the July exam, but I did take the experimental exam. Despite being granted accommodations by the State Bar 2 months prior, I wasn't provided them under this new testing software. The proctor told me I had them, but upon logging on, I was not provided them. This failure is not only unacceptable, but a violation of my rights under the American with Disabilities Act. Worse yet, members of your staff gave me remedial measures, and what they suggested would further violate my 504 plan. And after I had explained that to them, they essentially said, well, too bad, so sad. It was an outright disregard for test takers who have accommodations, and to not be able to rely on a system that can adequately provide us accommodations is really terrible. So I urge you to just do better. And also, we're still waiting on the grades, so thank you.
Next, we have Yash Mehta. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
How's it going? Thank you so much for taking the time. The reason I wanted to speak to you guys today was because I feel like there isn't a lot of discussion regarding those with accommodations. I feel like when I took the exam in February, and I feel that my rights were violated. I was not given a distraction-free environment. I lost time. I was supposed to be given extra time. I lost time. And I feel like the remedies that the California Bar has proposed do not include those who took the test with accommodations. Yeah, and I also echo what everyone else is saying about the Kaplan questions. I feel like they were very unfairly written. Thank you.
Next, we have Sai. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm a foreign attorney and I took the Feb 25 exam from New York. This February, I tried to do my best despite the technical glitches during the MCQ. As a foreign attorney, if the provisional license remedy comes with another exam or additional conditions like supervision for 2 more years will not work, especially with folks like me with a full-time demanding job out of state, out of country. So please look at the history of students like me and offer a suitable remedy that will not require any further steps to become an attorney. waiting till May to know what if we have to again sit for July would be killing all of us. So for students like me, please come up with a better remedy. Thank you.
Just for the record, it's 4:12. We started public comment at 2:15, so we're going to take a couple more and we'll end public comment at 4:15.
Next, we have Sophia and Samshad. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, thank you, trustees. I'm considering taking the July 2025 bar exam. To prepare for the exam, I applied for and was approved to take 4 months off work without pay. After hearing about the problems faced by the examinees of the February 2025 exam and the lack of speedy resolution by the state bar, I have zero confidence in timely registering for the July exam by the April 1st deadline. I hope that the state bar will reconsider the July exam registration deadlines and the exam dates, given the unresolved issues raised about the exam administration. Thank you for listening.
Next, we have Diva Ladva. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, good evening. My name is Diva. Thank you for taking the time to open this forum and allow us to speak. I just wanted to touch on a few of the remedies. I know all of our issues are very nuanced and they range from small technical glitches to not being able to access the exam. So with all that in mind, I urge all of you to grade this exam in a light most favorable to all of us who gave it our good faith effort. I am a retaker. I took the bar in July 2024 and obviously was unsuccessful. However, I gave my good faith effort. I studied full time, was laid off from my job, and was looking forward to beginning my career as a legal advocate and finally as an attorney and become one of your colleagues in May. However, for the first time, this now feels like my name is in a little bit of a fishbowl, and if it's pulled, I'm lucky and I pass because it just seems that there isn't a fair metric. So I just urge all of you to please grade our exams in a fair way and just give metrics that are favorable to each applicant and their given circumstances that they face during the test. Thank you so much.
Next, we have Mercedes Sullivan. Hello, your microphone has been enabled. I think there might be some technical difficulties, so we can move on to the next person, and that's Mark Danko. Your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, I just want to say thanks for giving us the opportunity to try to do this remote. I don't think that remote test taking is inherently flawed, but combined with choices about removing spell check 2 days before, saying it has no effect but on people's grades because they're not instructed to, but not actually proving that to be true feels like a folly. And on top of that, we've got the glory of these multiple choice questions that are like, on all like the adaptive bar, I score in like the 80s, and these questions are just horrible. Like I don't know how to express it without revealing the details of what's in them. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for trying to help us all through this.
All right. Thank you all for your public comment. Time's 4:15. We got to 91 public commenters. So thank you to everybody who called in for your patience. We did not get to our 10-minute break during public comment, so I anticipate we'll take a couple minutes for a bio break. What I'm going to do is first I'm going to get to the chair's report, and then we'll get into closed session. So for my chair's report, I'll simply say that every trustee here, I believe, hears the pain of what you have each individually experienced, and your experience, and really just how horrific this experience was for you. And we will go into closed session to consider next steps. We're going to go into closed session pursuant to, this will be on item 1.1 and 1.2. I believe that's how much time we'll be able to, or that will, the time that we have, I think will allow us to get to those two items. 1.1 is closed pursuant to Business and Professionals Code 6026.7 sub C sub 3 and Government Code Section 11126 sub C sub 1. And then 1.2 is closed pursuant to Government Code Section 11126 sub E sub 2 sub C. So we will adjourn into close. Best guess is that we'll be in close for approximately 30 minutes. We note that we have some hard stops at 5 p.m. So we're going to try and accommodate everybody's schedules. All right. You should get trustees, you should get a unique panelist link sent to you. We will see you. Everybody go ahead and take a bio break, and we'll just see everybody when they come back on, hopefully in about 5 minutes or less. All right, thank you.
See you later. Oh, you're gonna talk. Yeah.
Trustees. All right, we'll call the meeting back to order. Board of Trustees, a meeting back in open session. I wanted to report out that the board directed the general counsel to retain an independent investigator to conduct a privileged investigation into the issues relating to the February 2025 bar examination. We will go next to item 2, which is our consent calendar. Anybody wish to pull 2.1 off of consent? If not, may I have a motion?
Chair Stallings, I just wanted, I know that this has to do with proctoring. Is there, I just maybe would just like to maybe know just a little bit more about whether or not it interacts or with anything that we've had some discussions about or heard comment about already. I'm not sure. That's why
Trustee Sowell, it's the firm that we're working on some of the contractual related provisions. It's a firm that we've engaged to provide legal advice on some contractual provisions with respect to our vendor engagement on the remote bar administration.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions, or may I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right, first by Trustee Buenaventura, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice Chair Cisneros. May I have a roll call vote?
Mahona, not present. Buenaventura.
Aye.
Cisneros.
Aye.
Good.
Aye.
Grande. I believe Trustee Grande is not present. Gore.
Aye.
User.
Aye.
Soel.
Aye.
Stevens. Tony.
Aye.
Trejo, not present. Stallings.
Aye.
It's 9 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you. Going to item 3.1, this is update and action on February 2025 bar exam and other updates from the Office of Admissions. This item is being presented by Chief of Programs Donna Hershkowitz and Program Director Audrey Ching, and this is an informational item only.
They're joining.
Good afternoon.
I think we're gonna sort of lump a little bit of 3.1 and 3.2 together here, in the interest of time, and because there's sort of a natural flow from the discussion of the February bar exam to what we are going to, what we're proposing for July. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Are you seeing the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to.
It's not in presenter mode, Donna.
It's on the wrong screen. On the wrong screen. It just has the thumbnails on the left side.
Yeah, it's fine though.
Fine. We're just going to do that. So I wanted to start today. Although we've certainly communicated this repeatedly, and I absolutely understand that it rings hollow. I do want to open by saying that we remain extremely disturbed by what happened with the administration of the February exam, both from the technological and the human perspective. And we are truly sorry for the experiences that the test takers had to face. What trustees have heard today in public comment is representative of what we have heard and read from numerous test takers. That was really sort of representative of everything that we've been hearing about the exam. But we do want to also be thoughtful about our next steps. And so this presentation is intended to give the board the facts about what we've heard and what we know. So I want to just start with a very quick look at the numbers. There were just over 4,300 applicants, test takers who were scheduled to take the exam, nearly 2,800 remote and 1,500 or so in person. That's broken down by roughly just under 4,000 non-attorney, or 4,000, just under 4,000 taking the general bar exam, which is the 2-day exam, and about 350 scheduled to take the attorney's exam, which is the 1-day exam. Of the 4,300 people, approximately 470 test takers were testing with accommodations, and we had scheduled 137 handwriters. We also had about over 1,300 withdrawals for this exam. The vast majority of those, over 1,000, since we offered very shortly, I think it was February 14, we offered the ability to withdraw from the exam for a full refund. So I wanted to turn to what is it that we know or we have learned from the exam vendor, Meazure Learning. We have, they've provided preliminary data for those who took the test on the Meazure Learning platform, meaning that we don't have data currently related to those who handwrote their responses. The data that we have includes things such as the start and end time for each test taker for each session that they took. We have the submission of the written components. We had some data on how many written components had any content in them at all, whether in the response field for the essay or performance test or in the area where individuals take notes. And we have the multiple choice questions. We have the answers and we have the answers to the multiple choice questions as well as the written responses. We have submitted a request for detailed data reports from Measure Learning as required under the reports that are required under the Master Settlement Agreement, as well as the statements of work that relate to that agreement. And those requests for data are pending. We also have significant inputs from test takers, similar, as I mentioned, to what you have heard today. We've gotten those inputs through a variety of means. Some were through the escalation to Measure Learning technicians that were during the exam, calls to the state bar during or after the exam, emails from test takers during and after the exam, submissions through our applicant portal in our admissions information system, as well as communication with state bar staff who were present at selected sites. This slide really captures the types of issues that are reported. This slide and the next, the types of issues that were reported, both technological issues as well as human issues. You've heard probably all of these during the public comment session today, but they include things like the complete inability to launch the exam, so no ability to access the exam whatsoever. Frequent disconnections, getting into the exam, getting cut out of the exam, getting back into the exam. Hours spent with technical support to get back to testing. The running of time in certain instances while issues were being addressed by technicians or proctors, or returning to the exam and after a disconnection and learning that your time has continued to run. Unexpected submission of answers before completion, as well as for some, the inability to submit their answers, something that required significant technical support to push through by the vendor directly. Significant delays in starting the exam at test centers, delays certainly for a number of remote applicants as well in getting their exam started. We had functionality issues, the system not performing as expected with the cut and paste functionality, the screens freezing, lag time when you start typing it before the words appear on the screen, or when you delete something before the words show up as deleted, problems with highlighting, the performance test file and library, which are essential to completing the performance test, not being available for some time or at all for certain applicants. There were also other issues reported that dealt with the proctors and the technical support being unable to resolve the problems that test takers faced, incorrect information that they received from proctors and technical support, frequent disruption by proctors to reconduct the security scans or adjust seating camera position, frequent switching of proctors, which often involved disruption to the test taker as well, unprofessional or rude behavior from proctors or support. So between these two different inputs, the inputs that we have from Measure Learning of the data and the inputs that we have from the applicants reporting the experiences that they had, we started to think about, what is it that we know? What is it that we think we know based on this? What's clear is that the preliminary data, and we'll be turning to the data in just a second, but the preliminary data from Measure paints a very different picture than the reports that you were all hearing from the test takers in terms of their ability to complete the multiple choice questions and to submit their written answers. Just because a test taker, for example, may have been able to submit all 6 written components, it may not reflect that the test taker faced several technological issues, which distracted their concentration, effectively ate up several or more minutes of their time that they wouldn't have lost, but for the technological issues. We've heard from applicants who submitted responses to all questions, but reported that the technological and human issues interfered with their ability to demonstrate their knowledge to demonstrate that they possess the minimum competence for submission to the bar, right? So we've got the data that tells us, and again, we'll be turning to that in a second, but that tells us a lot of people were able to submit 6 written responses to written questions. A lot of people were able to answer all of the multiple choice questions. The question is the seeming disconnect between that data and the experience, and that disconnect really may focus on the quality of the answers that test takers were able to submit. So let's start with taking a look at the performance data, and we're going to go into the quality assessment and talk about ways that we are trying to get at that as well. So with the data, we had, as I mentioned at the outset, there were about 4,100 applicants who were using the Meazure learning platform. 98% of them had some content on all 6 of the written components, right? And this was sort of an objective assessment. How many written components had some content? We did not assess the quality of that content. It was just had some content. So 98% had some content on all 6 components. 1.3% had content on 4 or 5 written components, and fewer than 1% had no content on 3 or more components. The reason that we are breaking the data down that way is if it is determined that it is appropriate to do so, if you have responses to 2/3 of the written components or 2/3 of the multiple choice questions, then you can psychometrically impute scores to the remaining questions. And so that's why we were looking at people who not only had answers to all 6 written components, but 4 of the 6. Also, 12, so we also have data on the performance on the multiple choice questions. There were 12 test takers who were using the Meazure learning platform who failed to complete any multiple choice questions due to technological issues, 20 who failed to complete more than one section. And of the remaining roughly 4,000, 98% submitted answers to at least 195 out of the 200 questions. Again, the focus on failing to complete more than one section is because if you completed 3 of 4 sections at 75% of the multiple choice questions, and the remaining 25% can be imputed if that is the direction that is deemed appropriate. So as I had said, the data doesn't tell us about the quality of the exam submitted, and we're engaging in several efforts to get more insight into the impact of the many issues that the February test takers experienced and how that impacted their quality. We are looking at conducting a review of a random sample of test takers to assess response quality and anomalies, looking at things like whether, yes, you had content, but maybe the content was just section headings or cutting and pasting from the question stem into the answer block. And if that is anomalous with all of your other responses where you submitted much more significant content. We launched a survey that we sent to all test takers, and that was sent yesterday to get their input. This was a survey that typically when we do these surveys, we don't associate responses with particular individuals, but we do want to be able to use the information to help identify what the impacts were. If somebody had significant impacts, report significant impacts on certain questions, it's really important for us to be able to look at the reports of the technicians, to look at what they say in the survey data, to look at the videos of the performance, so we can identify for psychometricians what where the impacts were in many different ways. We are also exploring the distribution of multiple choice question performance on past February exams as against this current exam, and we'll be doing an in-depth review of the data once we receive that from Meazure Learning. So you've heard a lot about remedial measures that test takers are requesting. They range from individualized solutions to global solutions. There are solutions that relate to all parts of the test, as well as solutions that are specific to certain components. So I just wanted to go through just some of those that you've been hearing about. Individual score adjustments, consideration of the circumstances that the test takers faced by the graders when they were grading the exams, adding points to all of the test taker score, allowing retests for all of the test takers or some of the test takers, allowing a retest of the performance test for all test takers because of the functionality challenges, reducing the pass line or the cut score, ensuring a set percentage of test takers pass the exam, refunds to all test takers or extensions of the free retake through February 2026 for those who withdrew from the exam or who are not successful on this February 2025 exam. There are recommendations for provisional licensures, recommendations for diploma privilege or other efforts to admit all test takers. One of the other things that you heard during public comment is that there is not unanimity of opinion on these solutions, on whether they will work for everybody. But we want to talk a little bit about some of these suggestions for redressing the experience. As the board knows, we did offer opportunities for a retake for testers who either were completely unable to launch the exam or using that psychometric information that I shared, test takers who submitted fewer than 4 of 6 written components, fewer than 4 of 6 with content for the written components, or fewer than 3 out of the 4 multiple choice questions. And that was just over 85 test takers for that retest. But I do want to, I do want to sort of just return to the issue that we were just discussing about quality. And the formula, right, for determining who qualifies for the retake, who is offered the opportunity for the retake, is not a good solution for some people, most certainly. And we felt we had to make an objective determination of who had 4 of 6 written components with content, without looking at that content to see if if other people should qualify. And we made sort of that objective determination in the interest of time, as well as for other reasons. Certainly, there may be some, as I mentioned, for whom the content is only headers or cut and paste from the question stem, and they unfortunately did not qualify to be offered for the retake and would be reliant on psychometric or other solutions that could be offered. So let's talk about some of the other remedial options that people talked about. Many of the actions that were suggested do require Supreme Court action or engagement by the Committee of Bar Examiners. But for Supreme Court action, changing the pass line, passing all test takers, provisional licensure, diploma privilege, these are all things where the Supreme Court would need to act. There are psychometric solutions, as we mentioned, one being the retest of those who didn't have sufficient content that would make it possible to impute scores. We had heard about sort of a consideration of individual circumstances by the graders, or everybody's circumstances, how the technology impacted everyone, and having the graders take that into consideration. That is something that the psychometricians tell us is really what needs to be done as a psychometric analysis. We keep the grading process the same, the considerations of the graders the same, but at the end of the day, the psychometricians do an analysis of the impacts and make determinations on considerations as a result of that, and not by changing the process and having the graders take into consideration the technological difficulties. What we also know is that the psychometric analysis and offer of solutions typically follows the scoring of the exams, follows the determination of whether and the extent to which some or all applicants were impacted. That is not a popular statement, and I completely understand that people want to hear today, what is it that we are going to do? But this is, you know, we had multiple conversations with our psychometrician, the way that this typically works is it does follow the scoring of the grading of the exams, and then the analytics by the psychometrician. There are also challenges with some of the global solutions that have been suggested, which the board, the Committee of Bar Examiners, and the Supreme Court would need to take into consideration in determining what any of those entities think is the appropriate thing to do. One, and some of the test takers some of the public commenters talked about this, is sort of the lack of, everyone had different experiences. And so a lack of knowledge of understanding the extent to which some or all applicants experience which technological issues is challenging. There is also February exams, there is a high percentage of repeat test takers. In line with other exams for this year, this February was 66% of the test takers were repeat test takers, and whether the same remedies want to be, whether the Supreme Court, the Committee of Bar Examiners, want to apply all of the same remedies to first-time takers or repeat takers is something to be considered. Also, the February bar exam related to the high percentage of repeat test takers typically has a low passage rate, looking roughly about 35% over the past 10 years or so. And so again, the entities making sort of recommendations will need to decide if solutions like provisional licensure, for example, are appropriate in all instances as a result. With that, I wanted to turn it over to Erica Doherty to talk a little bit about what we did learn, what we should have learned from the special session in November. Erica?
Thank you, Donna. So for a little bit of context, at the last meeting I attended, I introduced myself as having worked in many facets of the state bar. One of them I haven't spent much time in is admissions. And so because of that, I was asked to kind of take a look at these surveys and things that occurred related to the November experiment and have some fresh eyes on that. So what I've been able to look at so far are two surveys that were issued as part of the November experiment. One was issued by Meazure Learning to only those participants who participated in the experiment remotely, and the other was issued by the state bar. There was a 46% response rate and a 39% response rate for each of those surveys. So this is not to speak to the entire population who participated in the experiment. What those survey results say is certainly that there were challenges related to the November experiment. There were individuals that indicated a lot of the challenges that we have heard in public comment and that we have seen came out of the February bar exam administration. However, what was also within the surveys was that about 80% of those who responded, so out of 1,800 people for each of those surveys, for the Meazure survey was 1,863, the state bar survey 1,867. 80% of those rated a 4 or 5 stars, indicating high, satisfaction with their overall experience with ProctorU. Similarly, 88% gave 4 or 5 stars for the question of please rate your proctor in the Meazure survey. On the state bar survey, which addressed anyone taking that experiment, so in person at testing centers and then also remotely, which was the majority of individuals, 72% indicated that they were somewhat or very satisfied with their exam. Now, again, that's not to say that they didn't report other things. So what I'm going to be looking at is the issues that were identified and reported in the open-ended questions to the surveys and how those things were examined between the November experiment and leading up to the February administration. But that's just at an initial outset what we've looked at so far.
And with that, we were going to transition to Audrey Ching to talk about what does this mean for July?
I just want to say one more thing. Sorry, can you hear me? Going back to what we heard in public comment, I know several commenters mentioned reciprocity. And just a reminder that the Board of Trustees, as part of the recommendation for the Blue Ribbon Commission, did put forward a reciprocity recommendation in 2023. That would be something else the court would have to approve that they did not when they gave the order after approving a new California bar exam. But I'm going to talk about the July bar exam. We're 16 weeks away from the July bar exam. We have certain steps we need to take now that we've been directed by the court to administer a traditional in-person exam. We have to resecure a vendor for a state bar run in-person test delivery prior to this last exam administration that was ExamSoft in person. We need to secure large sites statewide for standard test takers, looking at the same geographical areas we have in the past, the San Francisco Bay Area, the Sacramento area, 2 large sites in the greater Los Angeles area, and San Diego. San Diego being the hardest to source at the end of July. There's a lot of competition in that area for venue space. And then we look at smaller venues for accommodated applicants. Law school venues are a possibility, and I really appreciate that law schools have been reaching out to say they would offer their spaces. We have used law school spaces in the past. We used 2 last July. We also need to source proctors for all of our sites in the next 16 weeks. Some additional challenges with this July administration, it's going to be harder to forecast the number of applicants. We will have the large July cohort as we usually do, but we also will have the February takers who were given the exam waiver to take it in July. So a little harder to pinpoint the numbers. It's also a little bit harder at this point in time because the application has not yet opened. So we need to open the application soon and get information out to law schools and to potential applicants about applying for the July exam and the areas where the test will be delivered and administered.
And I would just note to the trustees that you saw that the staff report that we had posted on Friday did recommend that we discontinue the relationship with Meazure Learning and move to the in-person exam, with the understanding that we would be presenting that item to the Committee of Bar Examiners when they meet on March 14, and we had wanted just to get a sense of the board. The Supreme Court issued an order just the other day, which largely took that decision out of the hands of the Committee of Bar Examiners or the board, but is consistent with what the recommendation that we had put forward to return to the more traditional in-person exams the way we've been delivering them in the past.
So there is no board action requested. This is an update, as you heard, really looking for any feedback that the board has at this time on any of the issues, February, July.
Thank you, everyone. It's Vice Chair Jose Cisneros. I just want to alert folks that Chair Stallings had to exit the meeting due to his workspace shutting down at 6 p.m. California time. Are there any comments from any of the trustees at this time or questions?
I do have a quick question just around cost. I know that some of that is unknown clearly, but do we have a sense of what the what additionally? I know what's in the item itself, and it says that we are anticipating increases to that, but any sense of what that range might be? And I understand if we really can't pinpoint that, but I am interested in what might be added to the July exam from a cost standpoint.
I don't think we can give you an accurate figure right now, because we need to add the fiscal impact of the generous waiver policy, refund policy for February, the fiscal impact of giving a large group of folks the opportunity to take the July exam for free, and then the cost of reverting back to in-person test administration. Each of those adds a layer of cost. And I think this is, as noted in the item, you know, we have some surplus in the admissions fund. In the adopted 2025 budget, there is a small fund balance. I think we can look at using all of that to get through this July exam. And then there's going to be some very difficult conversations about where to go next, because this is, you know, a really unfortunate result of our trying mass remote testing. And if we are going back to in-person administration in perpetuity, we really have to look at affordability. And so right now it's just kind of, you know, a commitment to ensuring this smooth July administration, not focused in the first instance on cost, understanding we can pay the bills for July, and then figuring out where we go from there. But certainly we can provide the board soon with an updated fiscal analysis. We just haven't had the time to do that for today.
I just want to perhaps comment and just tell the members of the public, really acknowledging the comments that you made today. I think we heard you, and I want to just be thankful that you participated, that you were even staying at this late hour to hear us meet. And I want you to know that we're asking questions. We're very much interested and concerned about what happened to you folks. And so hopefully we can work together and try to resolve some of these issues. But we hear you, we understand the situation, and we're taking it really very seriously. And so thank you for your input and your participation, providing us the feedback and expressing your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. I want to second all those sentiments as well. Well spoken. Anyone else?
You see Trustee Stevens, Vice Chair.
Yes, Stevens, Trustee.
Yeah, I want to echo what Trustee Buenaventura just said, and as an educator, I want to re-emphasize our obligations to be fair to all of the takers and to administer an excellent exam. And we're going to have to acknowledge that obviously there were failures, and I think it's important to acknowledge that. But going forward, I think it's imperative that the state bar get to a place where it can successfully administer a remote option exam. And so I don't want to see this failure to launch impair our ability in the future to keep moving forward in this direction, and frankly, catch up with many other educational institutions who do professional testing in a remote environment.
Thank you, Trustee Stevens. Okay, not seeing any other comments or questions.
So it sounds, Vice Chair, like the next inflection point on remediation measures is after grading and consultation with the psychometrician. Is that the board's understanding of the timeline as well?
Seems clear to me that that's the way what we've heard and what we've covered. Does anybody have any questions further questions on that? Though I think we've been discussing it for quite some time now. Yes.
I'd like to say something on that particular question.
I'm sorry?
Can I say something on that question?
Yes, of course, Trustee. Go ahead.
I think it would be an important thing for the state bar to put additional resources into grading of the February test so that we can expedite the testing and get it done in a shorter time than is customary, that would allow us, it would allow several things. It would allow the people who have taken the test to get a little bit earlier notice. It would allow us to be able to work with the psychometricians, to look at, do we need to, what are our options for grading adjustments? Do we need to grade on a curve, for instance? Do we, not just 40 points or, an arbitrary number, but what do we need to do to make it right? And so that's something that I think is important. And I think we ought to, as a board, if we, even if it needs extra resources, we should put the extra resources into extra graders.
Understood. I think we can bring that forward to the Committee of Bar Examiners as well. It's meeting on March 14th.
Thank you for that. Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, should we move to our next item? Is that 3.2?
I think we've covered everything that we need to cover today, Vice Chair. Yeah, we don't have any recommendations for action. We can hold off on the board policy manual item.
Very good. Well then, if we're finished with our matters today, I just want to thank all the trustees and of course, members of the public and staff for the time they've spent today, the long time they've spent today in discussing these important matters and putting together action strategies and recognizing questions still outstanding that we're all going to look at and hear about more going forward. And we certainly want to see everyone very focused on doing everything we can to repair this situation and make whatever improvements are necessary. Lisa, I think with that, we can close this meeting. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.